just ready for bed. But one of the weird things was like I'm standing here and nothing's there, and it's like, what do I talk about? All right, I'll just talk about that there's nothing there. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this recording, or but I had ideas before I started to talk, and now they're all gone. Right, cool. There's a new intro there, so I was working on that tonight, and I can't like it because in my mind there's been, or in my system um, there's always been this idea. I think it's always kind of been there. I've talked to people about it in the past and stuff like that, and I don't want to make this because I'm aware sometimes that it comes across as like me, and that's kind of actually what I wanted to talk about. Uh, when I do that, it's not really about me. It's about reference to have an honest projection of what I'm talking about. So I have to take a reference from me, from the false self, or whatever you want to call it, right? But that's really what I'm kind of doing. So when you get caught up in words, it is kind of like you can break. If someone was very critical, they could go, "He's just talking about himself." Well, maybe at some points, maybe I got to watch all that. You got to watch everything to do with that kind of stuff. Because like I said before, there's nothing more. There's nothing more great than not being there. Because when you're there, fuck, there's so many problems. Oh my god. So that's what this channel is about. It's about me being in service to now and in the future to a certain point, kind of like whoever is listening. Because not that I'm any better than anybody else, because I am not, but I definitely have an ability to, at the moment anyway, to try and just speak from my own being about what is going on within my own inner space. That's it. And someone might take refuge in that and go like, well, that's kind of cool, and give, because that's what happens. Like, if someone knows something or has went past a certain point, then you speak on it, and then others that may or may not be listening kind of like will take it, well, will be listening, will take it as encouragement, because we all face the same dilemmas. We all face the same issues because, like, we're not getting out of here alive. And I know people. Even as I'm saying that, like, I can hear people there in their own mind going like, because I use that laugh sometimes because I've heard it so often, from these people that are deluded to a point where it's nearly they're irretrievable. So I use it as a mocking and kind of like as a mocking, and not in any kind of like bad way or anything like that, just as a mocking of kind of like, I'm just trying to say I know what's going on to some people that may or may not be listening to this or whatever. And that is always there because the people know everything, right? They know so much about themselves. They don't know fuck all about themselves at all. Nothing. They know about serving the ego. That's it. So I'm just doing the ego laugh when I do that. I just hear it, man. I can just, it's like a vibration. I can hear it, you know. And maybe as I'm talking about this now, you might shut the fuck up in your own mind and listen for a fucking second, all right? Because you don't know everything. Neither do I. But to do with this kind of stuff, you'd be surprised that many people don't know hardly anything about it. And it's not even about knowing mentally. It's about perceiving something, right? So the man who died intro, like I said, I would segue back to that again. It's always been there, you know. So I'm going to dedicate to try and make that into, as time goes on, to try and do my best as time goes on to try and make my best to make that into a feature film with a big enough budget, or whatever, and they have it made, you know. and channel my energy into that. Of course, no self comes first, you know. So so the man who died has a double pun for me. To do with the movie D.H. Lawrence's The Man Who Died, and my quest, and that's what this channel is about. I don't want to be alive. All right. And obviously, I mean, I want to be in the world and not of it. I don't want to be of this world anymore. Had enough of it. You know, it's just enough. Enough of the nonsense, enough of the pretense, enough of the, being stabbed in the back by these people that love you. They couldn't care less, dude. You know, and that's not a negative thing. That's a very positive thing because it shows insight. You know, the people that claim to love you will enjoy nothing more than seeing you squirm. Fuck these people. You know who you are. Go fuck yourself. And I wouldn't want to go where you're going. All right. So anyway, not that I'm perfect because I've done shitty things as well, you know. But that's what I'm trying to do as much as work as possible to try and get, a better understanding of how all this operates, you know. So the Man Who Died serves as a double function for me. The movie and getting rid and having no self, which is the man who died, the false self who died. All right, so it's not physically doing anything to yourself. All right, it's just attempting to be in the world and not of it, because being of it. Look around, dude. Look at these fucking people. Have you looked around? Have you seen these fucking people? You know, every day is a nightmare if you have anything to do with human beings. I like human beings, but I have nothing to do with them. Nothing. You think I want something to do with you? Whoever's listening to this, I don't fuck all to do with you. Nothing. You know, you can care for people from a distance. You know, but the minute you get entangled with them, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Right? So that's what it's about. You know, it's not about, everyone has to do their own individual work, and I can't do that hardly for myself, and it's not my business to do it for anybody else. I don't care what you do. All right? This channel is about me caring what I do. That's what it's about. All right? And, all right, so this talk has gone on long enough nearly as it is to make another video. You know, so I'll just segue a tiny bit into what I was going to talk about. And this is from the Tao Te Ching. Small little video with a new intro. The Tao Te Ching, verse 11, stanza 11, verse 11, whatever you want to say. And this is a cool one. I might say these the odd time because they're kind of cool. Like, you know, like I don't pay much attention all the time to the Tao Te Ching. You know, there'd be other little bits and pieces that I would kind of like look at, you know, but it's kind of like when you do enough learning about this stuff, it's kind of you carry it around with you, and you don't need to keep running to a book all the time. I'm running here and running there. You know what you got to do. I know what I got to do. And I've thought the odd time that maybe me doing these talks is a way of me distracting myself from getting very, very close earlier on in the year to being way higher than I am right now because of the inner darkness and just going into that so-called negative area, but very, very positive, right? So in the long run, so I don't think that actually that it is. I think that everyone has, if you know something and you can see certain things going on everywhere, that if you have dug yourself out of the sinking mud even a tiny bit, you kind of have a service and a duty to speak. So this is going to be my medium to kind of like speak on what I want to speak on, and to maybe give motivation, maybe give kind of like inspiration or whatever you want to call it to other people that may or may not be listening, right? So that's really what it's about. Because like it's kind of this. I don't make any money from this. I just do it every day, and it's kind of like a service, and I feel good about it. Because most people can't talk from themselves at all. They just want to talk with kind of like how they're going to be in the future to do with this three-dimensional world. And I'm not interested in it. Never have been. And I pretended a lot to be interested in it with other people so I could get on with them. But there was always this nagging thing within me of like, I don't care what you're doing, dude. If you want to be interested in this and be interested in that, fine. It's a tool. But if you want to be overly interested in it and take it seriously, fuck off. All right, so the Tao Te Ching, stanza 11, verse 11. We join spokes to make a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. Okay, that was really cool. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. Now, what's this channel about, man? It's exactly what they're talking about there. No self. Take the last part. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. Yeah, I work with the being. I'm working with it now. I'm on the front of the microphone. I'm looking at the screen, reading back the words from the Tao Te Ching from 2,500 years ago or so. But non-being is what we use. It's no self what we use. If we can get into a flow space and we can get into a space where we can get out of our own head, okay, that's what we really use. If we work with being and we are being, then we're kind of like just robots going around, oh, my NCT is coming up. Oh, I've got to do this. The whole outside world is all that matters. No, it's the invisible inside that matters more than any of that. Not that there's anything wrong with doing a few things on the outside or whatever, but, so it's the inner space. It's all that stuff that matters, We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. So we can shape ourselves as much as we want, but we have to keep that place uninterrupted within ourselves so that we can manifest from the outside, from not from kind of like other intelligence coming in and doing things for us, and so we're not constantly getting stuck like a jumbo jet with big blocks of wood in front of the wheels, and it shutters itself to pieces because it can't get over it. That's what we're kind of doing. We're not flowing. We're not moving and flowing. And kind of like, and like I speak on it only now. I couldn't have spoke on it before because there was no more of a trapped human being than me before, just trapped everywhere. And that's why I made the film The Trap, because like, why not make something that is so kind of like pivotal to what your being is? So I'm not here kind of like, there was no one more trapped than me. No one. Okay, and what a horrible place to be in. And now that I'm kind of out of it a tiny bit, not much, a tiny bit, I can see clearer now. And when you do that, you can look around and you can see other people in the trap the way that you were. And I don't like it any more than I liked it when I was in the trap, because we're all the same, like we're all connected. So if I can speak and someone can hear it and they can spark a little bit of easement within themselves, then cool. That's what this channel is about, dude. That's what it's about. It's not about me getting anything. I don't want anything. Well, that's not true. Of course I want things. But at the same time, I can still sense that doing this and being in service a little bit is good, because I feel good. I feel better doing it. It's like, cool, man. Like, that's the way the universe works. It's give and take, you know. And so the Tao Te Ching, stanza 11, really good, something to meditate on, and there's other even better ones than that are kind of like once you really understand them. And you can only really understand something as well. Let me make this clear as well, because you can only really understand something when you have a certain kind of like dissipation, or kind of like a relinquishment from the trap, from your own heart and mind. And that's been relinquished a tiny bit. Then you read these kind of things and you go like, fuck, man. I understand that statement to a certain point of like, let those with ears to hear, let them hear. Because it's like you have to be able to reference it with something within your own being. And then you can read them and go like, fuck. But if you're not out of it at all, you'll look at them and it won't really mean that much to you. Adios.